Did Jesus have a tattoo? 10 surprising facts about Jesus you didn't know. Jesus is widely known, but how much do you know about him? Check out some interesting facts about Jesus. There's no question Jesus is one of the most well-known figures in history, whether or not you believe his claims to be true, that he is the Son of God and the Savior of all mankind. There are some interesting and probably unexpected facts about Jesus and his life. Did Jesus have a tattoo? Was his birthday really on December 25th? Read on to find out. Over the course of the next few minutes, we're going to uncover some surprising facts about Jesus. Names hold power. They shape our identities and connect us to our past. In many cultures, names carry deep spiritual significance. The name Jesus, however, wasn't chosen by Mary or Joseph. In the Gospel of Luke, the angel Gabriel relays God's message to Mary, instructing her on the name of her son. "Do not be afraid, Mary. You have found favor with God. You will conceive and give birth to a son, and you are to call him Jesus." The name Jesus is derived from the Hebrew name Yeshua, which means Yahweh saves. It was a name that carried profound theological weight, pointing to Jesus' divine mission to save humanity from their sins. But here's the surprising part. Jesus was a remarkably common name in first-century Palestine. It might be equivalent to being named Brian or Joe today. The commonality and simplicity of Jesus' name reflect his humility. It's a testament to his approachability and relatability. The Son of God, born into humble circumstances, given a name that resonated with the everyday people he came to save. For centuries, Christians worldwide have celebrated the birth of Jesus on December 25th. The image of a baby in a manger, surrounded by shepherds and wise men, is etched into our collective consciousness. But what if I told you that the Bible doesn't actually tell us the date Jesus was born? The truth is, we don't know for sure why Christmas is celebrated on December 25th. Some scholars believe it's because the Roman Emperor Constantine, who was a huge proponent of Christianity in the Roman Empire, chose that time of year in order to draw attention away from pagan holidays taking place around the same time. Others believe that early Christians chose December 25th because it coincided with the winter solstice, a time of year when the days begin to get longer and the sun begins to return. This symbolism of light overcoming darkness aligned with the Christian belief in Jesus as the light of the world. Regardless of the reason, the fact remains that the exact date of Jesus' birth remains a mystery. Growing up within a family structure is a universal human experience. The bonds we form with our siblings shape our understanding of love, loyalty, and conflict. While we often focus on Jesus' relationship with his mother Mary, did you know that he also had siblings? Matthew 13:55 names all of his brothers. Isn't this the carpenter's son? Isn't his mother's name Mary? And aren't his brothers James, Joseph, Simon, and Judas? The Bible doesn't specify how many sisters Jesus had, but it does mention that he had sisters. The presence of siblings in Jesus' life provides a fascinating glimpse into his human experience. It's interesting to think about the dynamics between Jesus and his brothers. Did they always recognize his divinity? Did they ever quarrel like ordinary siblings? While the Bible doesn't delve into the specifics of these relationships, we can imagine that growing up in a large family came with its own set of joys and challenges for Jesus. Chapter 4. The Carpenter's Son. In an era defined by social strata and specialized labor, the Gospels present a humble image of Jesus as a craftsman. Mark 6, verse 3 tells us he's just a carpenter, the son of Mary and the brother of James, Joseph, Judas, and Simon. It makes sense, considering his dad, Joseph, was also a craftsman or builder by trade. Imagine Jesus, his hands calloused from years of working with wood, fashioning yokes for oxen, crafting furniture for homes. This image of Jesus as a laborer challenges our preconceived notions of what it means to be divine. It reminds us that Jesus was not aloof from the everyday realities of human life. He understood the value of hard work, the dignity of labor, and the importance of providing for oneself and one's family. This aspect of Jesus' life resonates deeply with people from all walks of life, particularly those who work with their hands. It reminds us that God is present in the ordinary, the mundane, and the everyday. Chapter 5. Can anything good come from Nazareth? Throughout history, certain cities and towns have gained reputations. Some good, some not so good. In Jesus' time, Nazareth, his hometown, wasn't a place people looked at favorably. John 1 verse 46 says it all. Can anything good come from Nazareth? It was surprising to people that the Messiah, the Son of God, would come from that city. Nazareth was a small, insignificant town in Galilee, a region often looked down upon by the Jewish elite in Judea. It was a rural community, far from the centers of power and religious authority. Yet it was in this unlikely setting that Jesus spent his formative years. This seeming contradiction highlights the unexpected nature of God's plan. The Messiah didn't come from a place of prestige or power. He came from a humble background, a place often overlooked and underestimated. Chapter 6. A Man of Many Tongues. In a world often divided by language barriers, the ability to communicate across cultures is a powerful tool for understanding and empathy. While Aramaic was the primary language Jesus spoke growing up, it's believed that Jesus could also speak Greek. This is evidenced by his ability to communicate with the centurion, as mentioned in Matthew 8, verses 5 to 13, and Pilate, as noted in Matthew 27, verses 11 to 14, who spoke Greek as well. Greek was the language of commerce and culture in the Roman Empire, while Aramaic was the everyday language of the Jewish people. Jesus' ability to speak both languages allowed him to connect with a wider audience and spread his message to people from all walks of life. It also speaks to his intelligence and adaptability. He could navigate different social circles and engage in meaningful conversations with people from diverse backgrounds. For centuries, artists have attempted to capture the likeness of Jesus. From Byzantine icons to Renaissance masterpieces, each depiction reflects the cultural and artistic sensibilities of its time. But what did Jesus really look like? The truth is, we don't have a detailed physical description of Jesus in the Bible. Isaiah 53 verse 2 describes Jesus as having no beauty or majesty to attract us to him, nothing in his appearance that we should desire him. There's no mention of his hair color, eye color, or height. This absence of specific physical details suggests that Jesus' appearance was not what made him remarkable. His true impact came from his teachings, his actions, and his unwavering love for humanity. Chapter 8. The Man in the Mirror. The lack of a detailed description of Jesus' appearance has led to a wide range of interpretations. In many cultures, Jesus is depicted with European features, fair skin, blue eyes, and long, flowing hair. However, it's important to remember that Jesus was Jewish and lived in first-century Palestine. What we can infer from the description in Isaiah 53, verse 2, when we consider Jesus' Jewish heritage and the geographical region he lived in, is this. Jesus was average in appearance for his descent and likely had dark skin and dark hair. This understanding challenges the Eurocentric lens through which Jesus has often been portrayed. It reminds us that Jesus was a man of his time and place, deeply rooted in his Jewish identity. Chapter 9. To ink or not to ink. Tattoos have a long and complex history, often serving as markers of cultural identity, spiritual beliefs, or personal expression. So, did Jesus have a tattoo? While the Bible doesn't explicitly address this question, we can look to the cultural and religious context of the time for clues. In ancient Israel, tattoos were generally forbidden under Jewish law. Leviticus 19 verse 28 states, "Do not cut your bodies for the dead or put tattoo marks on yourselves. I am the Lord." This prohibition suggests that tattoos were not a common practice among the Jewish people during Jesus' time. While it's impossible to say for certain whether Jesus had a tattoo, it seems unlikely given the cultural and religious norms of his era. Chapter 10. 3 years that changed the world. When we think about historical figures who have had a profound impact on the world, we often associate their influence with long careers, sprawling empires, or groundbreaking discoveries. Jesus' ministry, however, was remarkably short. While there are records of Jesus' life spanning his birth, childhood, and adulthood, he only started his ministry around age 30. The commencement of Jesus' ministry is not explicitly mentioned in the Bible, but it is commonly accepted that it started around the age of 30, according to Luke 3, verse 23. For approximately 3 years, Jesus traveled throughout Galilee and Judea, preaching, teaching, and performing miracles. In this short amount of time, he challenged the religious and political authorities of his day, offered a message of radical love and forgiveness, and ultimately sacrificed himself for the sins of humanity. Otto, the journey continues. From his surprisingly common name to his humble upbringing in Nazareth, from his multilingual abilities to the mystery surrounding his birth date, these 10 facts offer a glimpse into the multifaceted nature of Jesus' life. They remind us that he was both fully human and fully divine, a man of his time who transcended time itself. The Bible has so much more information about Jesus than a handful of fun facts. If this has piqued your interest and you want to learn more about Jesus, check out what the book of Revelation tells us about him.